Look, man, I'm gonna be honest. I've tried to record this video so many times, and every time it comes out extremely long. And I know our attention spans are not that great, so I'm gonna just have to make this video into different parts. So just bear with me because I have to add certain context to support why I'm making this video. I do want it to be understood that this video is, even though it's dealing with the dysfunction of the black man and black woman, the target audience is black men. I've been off of social media for quite a while now, and I mention that because what I'm talking about, it may be old to some of you, but it's new to me because I unplugged from society pretty much, and so I'm caught by surprise at the extent that certain things have gotten to now that I'm back on social media. So anyway, the channel holder that I'm about to mention, I'm not gonna mention her name because I'm not trying to get attention from her from mentioning her name, or nor am I trying to, as if it's conflict between me and her. I never want that to be the issue, because honestly I agree with her standpoint, and her standpoint is that black men as a collective, we're failing the black community and we're failing our black women. I agree with her 100%. Now her solutions to that's what I disagree with strongly, but I somewhat get to that because this video is not necessarily about that. But anyway, I knew about her maybe about 10 or so years ago, and she had that same stance then, and she has it now. So I chimed in on one of her videos, a live that she was doing, and I'm giving my commentary on it and my little comments. And in certain topics of discussion, if you don't agree, you'll either be called certain names, or put into a category, or whatever the case is, and it's not even valid because these people don't necessarily know you. So that being said, I'm understanding what I'm dealing with by engaging in the conversation with a lot of these women. And so I'm going back and forth with a couple individuals in particular, and then my message show up gray. Now, like I said, I'm new to this, so I don't know what my message showing up gray mean. I'm thinking, all right, maybe it's my phone because my phone is a little bit older. But I'm like, well, thinking back on it, I've seen lives and I heard people talk about, being timed out or blocked. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'm timed out. So I'm like, maybe the channel holder or her moderators can at least still see what I'm saying. So I'm like, hey, I mentioned her name and I said, hey, look, I'm gonna make a video in reference to this just so I can voice my opinion, you know what I'm saying, about what's being said without getting timed out, because it's like I'm being respectful and I'm speaking logic. And not only is it not being dealt with, but I'm getting timed out for it, and I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm not calling nobody out their name. Like, I'm coming respectable. And to be honest, like, I don't fall into the category of what she's talking about, so I don't get offended by that. But it's like I'm bringing a different type of approach to what you're talking about. But anyway, once I send that message saying, hey, I'm gonna make a reference video, my words come back up black. And so I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird, but I guess I'm good now. Well, one of the moderators sent me a message saying, hey, it's no free promotion. And I'm like, free promotion? Then it hit me. When me and one of the individuals going back and forth, me knowing how a lot of people respond, that if you disagree with what's being said, knowing that they're going to put you in this box or call you these names or call you that name, I want it to be known. I don't like people to deflect and not deal with what I'm saying because you think I fall into this category. So I'm letting the person know, look, I know y'all don't know me personally, but take it from me, the women that know me personally, they know I come nowhere close to these names or categories that y'all have. Additional to that, y'all can go to my channel and see I have videos that you can somewhat get an idea of what type of person I am. So that's the context of what I said to where I had got timed out. That's not really the issue. The issue is, as I'm sitting there, listening to the videos and peeping the chat, it hit me like this channel holder has like 90-something thousand subscribers, and in this chat, it's a lot of women that's full blown supporting everything that's being said. Even if what's being said is extreme, they still supporting it. So me taking that into account, and I start thinking like, well, there's so many other women that have to think like this, that have to have had these same experiences that these women had. And then here just a second ago, I just caught wind of another channel holder that this is my first time seeing her channel, and I only seen a couple minutes, so this is kind of assuming without, you know, seeing too much or clicking on videos or whatever. I kind of gathered that she has the same stance as the channel holder that I'm talking about, and she had about 15 or so thousand subscribers. So that's just further supporting. I know it's an extreme thought to think that every single last one of their supporters think just like them, but let's just keep it on the surface and think that's the case, that every last one of their supporters think like them. And that was only 2 channels with, what, if you add those numbers together, maybe somewhere around 105,000, somewhere up in there. That's a lot of women just from a small sector that have the same thoughts in regards to what we men have done to these women. And this is what brought me to the point of making this video. Man, we have to do a better job, because the things that these the corner we put these women into, for them to now start trying to figure out solutions to change the things, and the solutions that a lot of them are coming up with is mind-blowing, and it's problematic to our community. We got to take the blame for it as a collective. I understand not all men, you know, are dogs, and not all men are out here doing women wrong, or there are some stand-up men, or whatever the case is, but we have to think as a collective. And don't deflect. And that's what we do a lot. We deflect and we point fingers saying, well, women need to do this, women need to do that. Man, we could have that conversation all day. Women point fingers here, men point fingers there. But we as men, and women could do this on their side, but this video is not about what women need to do. This video is about what we men stop focusing on what they need to do. We men need to focus on, okay, what can we do? That way we change the narrative of what these women are talking about. Because if we don't do that, they're going to further have support to feel the way that they feel. Even if I disagree with it, or anybody else disagree with it, they have legit reason to then try to find other solutions to deal with what they're dealing with. And we men are the cause of that. So we gotta start doing, you know, being better stand-up men for our women and for our community. And to make sure no man tries to wiggle, you know, out of it and deflect, or, you know, or try to say, you know, no, that's not true. Think about this. I'm going to give a couple of examples. You got some women in their youth, at the childhood, this is a known thing in the black community, that have been sexually abused. And it could be known in their immediate community, or it could be known by people in general. But those things happen regularly, and if we men were doing our job to protect women, that type of stuff would not exist in our community. So that's something that we have to acknowledge, that we are not doing our job as protecting these kids. Their kids then later on become women with trust issues in men, because men didn't do nothing then. So now they take that to their adulthood. That's one thing. Then you got women, you know what I'm saying, in their relationships or throughout their life, getting dogged by men or whatever the case may be. And yeah, we could point out that there's good dudes and so on and so forth, but if we being real, now, unless you were raised up around a different environment, you may not be able to relate to what a lot of these women are talking about. But if you were raised up in the average environment that many of us black men were raised up in, I guarantee you, if you name just at random 20 of your homeboys when you were younger, or at least 20 dudes that you knew when you were younger, the first 20 that come to mind, I guarantee half, maybe even over half of those dudes were doing wrong by their women at some point in time. Whether that was disrespecting them, calling them out their name, doing things behind their back, whatever the case may be, I guarantee you can name at least, you know, out of that 20, half those dudes probably fall into that category. So that is more so the stance that women are coming from. When you break it down like that, you then have to see that as a collective versus the 2 or 3 out of that 20 or maybe 4 that you can name that were good dudes. Well, that's just 4. That's not the majority of that 20. So you got to understand where they're coming from. So that's an example of, how we're feeling as far as black women having to trust in us in our community to step up and do what's necessary in situations like that. That's just one example. Another example, some video just went around, went viral or whatever the case is, about something happening to some woman on a bus or a train or whatever the case is. It's stuff like that. Like that stuff should not happen, period, point blank, because it should be a precedent set that our community, our black men, we don't go for this, and you're going to have to answer that if you lay a hand on any one of ours. That's how we need to operate. Being that we don't operate like that, I can understand why women don't trust us to protect them. On top of that, we having a problem with accepting rejection, and I know this may be, in my opinion, this may be a younger generation type thing. I don't know. A woman may be able to say she had a different experience, but I would think this is a younger generation type thing, that not being able to accept rejection, and then women are getting attacked from that, and then there's no man to put that dude in check, put that dude in line. So it's too many examples for women to use of why they don't feel protected by us, and that's one of the areas I think we feeling. Now, on top of that, I think what a lot of time what women are saying, and just from what I've seen, I don't think the correct terminology is being used. So yeah, you got the standpoint of black men are not doing their job in the community, but I also think they saying we not doing our job as partners, and where a lot of us men, where we come in and we'll say, well, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. I'm the provider. I got this 9 to 5. I'm doing this. I'm providing for the family. I'm taking care of my family, and doom, boom, boom, so on and so forth. And you fall into that category of a good man. You got good work ethic. Now, don't get me wrong. Those are great things, but I've seen men have those same traits. I know a situation personally from somebody that I know. They had a stepdad come in the picture, and he fit all those traits that I just mentioned that would make a good man. Only for him and his wife to be married for 11 years, and then their marriage end because he cheated on the wife. Now, if you think about it, women could take that and run with it to an extent, because it's like, well, you talk about you do X, Y, and Z, so on and so forth, but now when dudes do that have those traits, you now watering down those traits to potentially those traits are not going to hold the same weight that they hold. But like I said, we falling short as partners, and protection could be a part of that. But as far as cheating, I think cheating probably going to be the biggest thing or whatever in regards to what we're talking about. But that's another area that women mention where we falling short. And then just something so simple as being able to respect our women and not call them out their name. Like it's a culture that's being pushed that supports the disrespect of women, and the main influence it's coming from is entertainers, music, and so on and so forth. So you got to take those things into account why women would feel the way that they feel in regards to the things that's being pushed, and the younger generation, and that's really where our focus should be, and stop taking so much offense and not dealing with the issue. Yeah, I know it's probably going to be hard for us as adults to correct our issues because we've been living in it for so long. We got to at least start, but we got to look out for the younger generation, because the younger generation is even worse than what we were when we were kids, and it's only going to get worse. So the men in the community, we need to start doing a better job and setting better examples and passing it down to the younger generation, because their influence is coming from the music, the entertainers, the people they look up to. And oftentimes the people they look up to is not necessarily the dad, their uncles, the this or that. It's looking up to people that they do not know, and they looking up to those individuals for the wrong reason, because they got money, because they got a lot of attention, they got women, they play sports, they entertain, they do do X, Y, and Z, so on and so forth. So our priorities from youth are messed up, and we looking up to the wrong individuals, which is playing a part in the youth following certain stuff. The youth are calling, women girls out of their name, and they in elementary school, they in middle school, they in high school. So it start early where women would start distrusting us as men. So it's layered type things that get women to the point. And a lot of the times it does come from their dealings with men, whether that's in a relationship or whether that's just analyzing certain situations. So we as men got to start doing a better job of, eliminating those issues that we have in our community. We got to stop letting stuff, and I only mentioned a few, but we got to stop letting stuff fly in our community that should be, no tolerance to it whatsoever. Nobody should be able to touch anybody in our community and not be dealt with however we need to do that. And then, and we just need to start treating our women better. Like, have respect for the women. You know what I'm saying? And I guarantee we wouldn't have as many problems as we have. Again, don't start deflecting, talking about, because I understand. Like, I've experienced it personally where I was done wrong by a woman. But being honest, women are not, unless they, and I know that's a thing, women just more secretive with it or whatever the case is. But if you're thinking logically, women have not done to us so much that it has started driving us to start acting a certain way, so on and so forth, in response to what they're doing. Now, if you flip that, there's no argument about it. Men, we've done so much to women throughout history that has driven them to this point. So we got to deal with that as men. Don't deflect. Focus on what we can do to correct that, and to go ahead and handle it. I know a lot of people gonna look at this as simping, because anytime a man come to the defense of a woman or is in agreement with women, we dismiss what they saying, even though it's factual, by calling them a simp or whatever other name that you may have for them. Now, I've been called simp, throughout my childhood or whatever, but the thing is, I understand some men got to do that to get attention from women, but I've never had to use any type of game or tactic to do that. That's one thing. Second thing, I have a queen, so I have no reason to be seeking attention from other women. So now that you have that, and now that you've already called me what you want to call me, all right, bet, that's cool. Now deal with what I'm saying. That's what we got to start doing. Don't disrespect somebody just because they speaking the truth. We got to look in the mirror and start dealing with our problems, because if we don't, our dynamic, our function, our household, our community is going to continue to fall apart. And we already got enough that's destroying our community. We can't be playing a part in that in no way, shape, form, or fashion. Now, if it goes a little bit deeper, I understand there's been systems and certain programming and conditioning that has played a part in a lot of different stuff. But that's a known thing. Now that we know that, we should be able to have enough control and enough about us as men to where we could start changing that narrative. All right, so leave your comments, you know what I'm saying, regardless if you agree or disagree. Like, all comments are welcome, because it's a dialogue we need to have, and we need to be able to, if it's a disagreement, all right, fine, it's a disagreement, but we need to understand we can disagree and not be at odds with each other. Because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is fix our community. So that's the whole point of what I'm talking about. We need to start taking care of the problems that can clean up our community.